Hey everyone, it's Lynx. I just finished streaming 5.3 like crazy, man. We did like a 9-hour stream today, and I just wanted to go over all of my thoughts on the new content as I kind of had a pretty mixed opinion on the patch. It was mostly good, but there were a few things that I found really frustrating, which I'll get into. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the class changes, and I know a lot of people came into my stream today and they asked me, how's Warrior, how's Warrior, how's Warrior, how's Warrior? I'm going to make a full video on that coming out tomorrow. But my first impression, I just want to say, without getting too deep into it so I don't take up the whole video, they're pretty good. I think the changes were really good. Overall, I know that it's like not going to bump Warrior into the meta, but the changes were pretty good. The next class I played was Astro. I played Astro in the Nier raid, and Astro felt pretty good. And now I know I'm not a main Astro. I don't play this class very often, to be honest. I play it maybe once, twice a week in a PF, and that's about it. So my position on this opinion will come from somebody that's not maining the job, and I didn't find this leave draw change to be too bad. Now I know a lot of people in the balance specifically were pretty upset that the Astro changes were like making the class too easy and simplification, and same for Warrior. A lot of people were upset that Warrior is becoming brain dead or whatever. I found that the mana generation that you get from the new Astro changes, if you guys don't know the changes, the draw, so drawing your card restores 800 MP, and sleeve draw also restores 800 MP, as well as a ton of mana costs were reduced. You can find this on the patch notes. I'm not going to go over the whole thing. But personally, I found that the usability, or like the mana generation you get out of Astro these days in this patch is pretty insane. I mean, it's on par or maybe even better than White Mage, and I really like that. You know, Astro was always the class that, like, if you had to res somebody, you were just risking running out of mana in a fight. And now, I mean, I res people instantly, you know, draw, sleeve draw, put your lucid dreaming up, and boom, you're back up to like 4 or 5k MP. So it feels really good to play. On top of the fact that I personally did not like old sleeve draw. Now, I know if you're an Astro main, you might hate me for this, but I found old sleeve draw to be pretty annoying. Having to go through like every single job, do their cards, throw the cards out. Like, I know if you're good at the job, it probably wasn't too big of a deal. But for me personally, going like, you know, play, redraw, play, draw, play, like, it was so frustrating to me. I did not enjoy the meta of spamming cards like nonstop. The only problem with the current sleeve draw design is to get a divination off early into the pull, you need to wait 30 seconds, or like 15 if you do a 15-second pull timer, because you need that first draw, that first card you pull before the pull to get all 3 cards out. So you'll do your draw card, then you'll do your second draw because you're waiting on the cooldown, and then you'll get sleeve draw, and that's 3 cards. So yeah, it kind of feels bad to have to wait to pull for an Astro, similar to if you like do a 15-second for Dancer. I was never a fan of the idea of like waiting for balances in old expansions and such, and seeing that Astro's coming back to that idea of like, hey, please wait for me to draw my card. That's kind of frustrating, but that's like something that it's manageable. You know, it's manageable. We can wait 15 seconds. That's fine. I feel like the mana gain increase, and on top of the fact that your seals are they're pretty easy to get now, since that sleeve draw now gives you the Arcana you don't have. I feel like the playability and the usability and the quality of life was actually pretty big. And I feel like you're not going to see a lot more, or a lot of 2 seal divinations anymore. You'll practically always see 3 seal divinations, which is a good thing. Alright, so class changes aside, let's talk about the MSQ. I skipped the cutscenes. I don't know about anything with the MSQ. Alright, moving on. Moving on to the dungeon. The dungeon itself, honestly, when I was doing it, I wasn't too impressed. It felt like Malika's Well, kind of, but in like an open field. But the last boss really was really cool. The last boss had a mechanic that I've never seen before. They actually used like the height of the arena as a mechanic, and I didn't even know this was possible in Final Fantasy. I always thought that like the terrain height doesn't like get registered in the design of the game. Does that make sense? Like, I never knew that the game's height system played a factor in skills and abilities and whatnot. I actually didn't know that. So seeing that this boss uses height as a mechanic was really cool. Now, obviously, if you go into like the game design, maybe they just add a trigger that says if you're, you know, in this area, then you don't get hit, and it's not actually the height that does anything. But they did it like they designed the fight in a way that makes it feel like the height is doing something. Whether or not it actually is, I don't know. I don't know if the game is designed that way, but going down into the craters to dodge his AoE was really cool. The second and first boss honestly weren't too memorable. It felt just like another dungeon added onto the list, but the last boss was definitely really cool. I think this is one of the better dungeons of the expansion. Definitely better than a Niter for 100% sure. So yeah, I'm really excited to run this one in Expert Dungeon again. I want to see it again and, you know, get like the grind feel and see how it feels to play multiple times. But my first impression of the dungeon was it's okay, but the last boss was really cool. So we'll move on to the Extreme Primal. Now, the normal mode Primal, before I get into the Extreme, is pretty tough. And that being said, the Extreme version is also pretty tough. Like, this trial has to be one of the hardest trials they've ever released. And I'm not even trying to be, like, exaggerative here, but this trial is freaking hard, man. It is really, really hard. Even on my clear, when we cleared the Extreme today, I didn't know all the mechanics, and we kind of slid by and scraped by for our clear. The normal mode took me about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or something. It was more than you would expect for a normal mode trial, and the Extreme was like 4 hours across like 3 or 4 different parties in Party Finder. It was rough, and I mean, I had to pull out like my brain, and I had to literally pull my brain out of my ear, look at it and say, okay, what do I need to do here? And just like really focus on the mechanics to get a good grasp of what was going on. And even now that I've cleared it and it's like, you know, it's late at night, I still don't know all the mechanics, and I really want to get back in there and come up with strategies, or maybe look up strategies of what people are doing, because that fight was difficult. The DPS check wasn't a problem really. I didn't see the enrage at all. We just kind of like killed the boss once we got there. So I don't know if the DPS check is a thing, but definitely the mechanics are tough. Now the mechanics are, they're a little bit deceivingly tough, because as with like per design of Final Fantasy XIV, once you know the mechanics and how they work, they're not too bad. But progging this thing was a nightmare, but like a good nightmare, like the kind of nightmare that you think about years in the future, like, dang, that was a crazy nightmare. Because yeah, it was really, really tough. I mean, we spent the first maybe like 70% of my time in that instance was on the first like 30% of the boss, right? So after you get past like 70% down the boss, I mean, it gets a little bit easier. But yeah, the first quarter, I could say, the first like quarter of the boss is insane. It's really hard, and I loved it. It was awesome. The Extreme trial was actually really, really good. And it's really interesting to see how, like, I was not expecting this. I did not expect to have like a good experience in the trial. Historically, trials have been pretty easy and kind of like sleeper content for me personally. You might like them. That might be something you disagree on. But for me personally, I've never really been a fan of primals. Or trials in general. They're kind of just things I did for mounts or did for fun with my friends, and then I would move on. But this is a trial I think I could really see myself like farming, because it's fun. It's really, really fun, and it requires memory. It requires knowing the mechanics. It requires understanding how to move your character, and like there's a lot to it, and I think it's awesome. The limit break nature of the fight as well was something that it didn't really introduce new mechanics, but it looked cool, and the way the way it impacted the feel of a fight was really cool. You know, we saw Protean Wave. They always gotta throw Protean Wave in every single fight for some reason. Protean Wave exists in every fight that's ever been designed. But they did it in a way that was really cool, and I think that's one of the ways you can get past having repeating mechanics in fights, is just make them look cool. And they definitely made the Protean Waves and the in and out stuff feel cool, which is great. Again, like it's not breaking new ground here, but it looked cool, it felt cool. I liked the Extreme Primal, or the Extreme Primal. I don't know if it's a Primal, Extreme Trial. Anyways, it was awesome. Getting into the Nier 24 man, this was the first thing I did when I got online. The Nier 24 man, okay, I might have a controversial opinion here. I think trying to put Nier inside of Final Fantasy just kind of leads to it not feeling like the Nier game. The zones, amazing. The songs, they're pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of the Nier songs, but there were a few that I really liked. Especially the last boss's theme was really, really cool. So if you're a fan of Nier music, you're gonna have a great time. If you're a fan of the aesthetic, you're gonna have a great time. I mean, the 24 man looks amazing. The bosses look really cool. The mechanics, the way they are designed, look really cool. But the problem is that Nier is a fast-paced game, and things kind of happen quickly, and there's like, the bullet hell, and you're always like jumping around and running around like super speed, because 2B can run super fast. And then in FF, it's kind of like a slowed down version. I feel like when I'm doing the Nier 24 man, so this is Copied Factory as well, I feel like I'm playing Nier on like training wheels. It feels like I'm playing a slowed down, slow motion version of Nier. That's not to say that the 24 man is bad. I don't think it's bad. It's just, it doesn't give you that same feeling of Nier Automata at all. At least for me. Maybe it does for you, but for me at least, I don't feel like, yeah, this is Nier. It just kind of feels like I'm playing a slowed down, I'm in quicksand moving slowly or something. It doesn't feel as good as the Nier game itself. Now, obviously, that's just a problem with the way that the games are designed. You know, Final Fantasy is a much slower, more methodical, planned-out game, whereas Nier is kind of like a crazy hack and slash, run around, jump around, do like double flips and dashes, and that's just the ways the ways that the game are designed differently. And that's not something I can like really fault them for. I don't think it's like a design problem. I just think that's the challenge that you get with bringing another game into a different game and seeing how they mesh. But overall, yeah, I think it was a good 24, man. I think it was really, really fun. I enjoyed it. The bosses surprised me, especially the last boss was like, I don't know what I was looking at. It was really, really cool, but I do have to say, I don't think it inspires the feeling of Nier Automata, for me personally. Okay, so the Dwarf Beast Tribes, I know they were introduced. Personally, I don't know. They just feel like a Beast Tribe. I did the quest. It's a Beast Tribe. I don't have much to say. The unlock quest was really, really long and annoying. That was probably the most important part here, was just how long the unlock quest is. I mean, I spent like maybe 30 to 45 minutes doing the prerequisites to get the Beast Tribe. So that was kind of a pain, but maybe it has a good story. I don't know. I'm a story skipper. You guys know that. But yeah, it just feels like another Beast Tribe. Kind of like the replacement for the Namazus in Stormblood, right? Like the crafting, and the Moogles in Heavensward for crafting. So yeah, I mean, it's fine, but it's nothing special. Lastly, the Shiva Unreal. Shiva Unreal is just... It really, really annoyed me. And it's not because I think it's bad, but because I think it could have been done better. If you guys don't know, the Shiva Unreal fight is the level 50 version of Shiva Extreme 1-to-1. There is no changes to mechanics, to the design, the order of things. It's literally a 1-to-1, just kind of like an upscale of Shiva Extreme at level 50. And while I'm not personally against bringing back old content for current level, I think that's a fine idea. There's a few things that really rub me the wrong way. Firstly, it's just the fact that it's like time specific, time exclusive. The fact that we're losing Shiva Unreal, and I don't know when, but they are going to cycle it out. I don't think that helps anybody. Like, who benefits from Shiva Unreal going away? I don't like the idea of introducing content that's going to go away after a few. Now, with like events can get away with it because it's like, hey, we're celebrating in Easter, and Easter doesn't last forever. But introducing a primal, a trial, like a piece of content that you can fight, play, and do, and then removing it, I feel like it doesn't help anybody. And it feels like an artificial way to increase participation, right? Like, it feels like we're gonna remove this, so you better do it because it's not gonna be here forever. And I really hate that fear of missing out design. I don't like the idea that, like, oh, I have to farm this or else I'll miss out. That really sucks, so I better do it even if I don't want to. I'd rather just have it be here forever and I can do it whenever I want. If I want to skip a week, who cares? If I don't like the idea that I feel like I have to play this content. Because, and that leads me into the biggest problem I have with it, it's item level synced. It's item level synced to 435. I was talking to my chat about this, and we tried to come up with like reasons as to why the sync is a good thing. The biggest argument people had for the sync being a good thing is that you can get into Shiva Unreal the second you hit like level 80. Like, it's accessible content you can do exactly at level 80. And while it's a cool idea, it just doesn't fit with the rest of Final Fantasy. On top of the fact that getting levels or getting item levels synced feels bad because your skill speed goes down, your spell speed goes down, you lose all your melds. Like, you feel like a weaker version of your job, which you are. I mean, your gear is literally a lower item level. I don't like the syncing thing, especially because it threw my skill speed off. I didn't have as much crit. It felt bad. It just felt weird. Saw my HP go down like 50k, so maybe like 60k HP loss. I don't know. It was really, really weird. I don't think the item level sync would help anybody. If you want to make it as hard as it is, because we'll get into the difficulty, but if you want to make the fight hard, you can. Just turn the numbers up a bit and make it current item level, or make it no sync at all. So maybe in the future, if it doesn't get removed, which I know it will, but in a perfect world, if it doesn't get removed, you can item level it, and that's how people do extreme primals. I mean, think of how many people skip out on extreme trials for the mount until the drop rate gets buffed, and then you can overgear it, and it's really easy. And I found a lot of joy in these expansions of Final Fantasy going back to old primals when I had better gear and just kind of destroying them. Like, seeing Susanoo, go down in like 4 minutes was really funny. It's just kind of something that's fun to do. And so the fact that this is item level synced, it's just like, it didn't feel good. My gear was low, my skill speed was off, it just felt odd. I think you can still preserve the challenge by just turning the numbers up and making it current item level synced. I don't know why it has to be synced at 435. Getting to 480, which I think is where it should have been. I think getting to 480 is really easy. Like, getting crafted gear is cheaper than ever. I mean, crafted pieces on my server is like 50k each. Just because of how long this patch has been out. So if we're talking about like getting new players into Shiva Unreal immediately, number one, okay, this is gonna get to the difficulty side, but number one, the enrage timer is pretty brutal for Pug specifically. I mean, we enrage ground, is that the right? Enrage grinded. We enrage grinded Shiva Unreal for like hours. I mean, I went through maybe 3 or 4 parties just in rage grinding, and it was a pain. And I know that if we weren't item level synced, if we had our materia, if we like had our skill speed, it wouldn't have been a problem. But getting item level sync just feels bad. Quick edit here. After talking with some of my friends who did this in a static and not through PF like I did, they found that the DPS check was way easier than I found it. So your mileage here may vary on the rage, depending on the group that you do it with, the people that you do it with, and how optimal you guys are playing. For me, it was pretty difficult, but for some of my friends, it wasn't. So I don't really know what to think about it. We'll have to do more Shiva runs, but yeah, your mileage here will vary on the enrage. So if we're talking about getting fresh level 80s into Shiva Unreal because it's a low item level sync, they're not going to be able to kill it anyways because of the enrage grind. I mean, the enrage grind is so real on this fight, especially in Pugs. I don't know if it's because, like, maybe I was just playing with bad players, and I can't really tell because there's no ACT. But the enrage grind is real, and I don't think a new player coming in just at level 80, just got to 80, gonna go get my 435 gear to do Shiva Unreal, is gonna be anywhere close to beating this enrage. I mean, it's tough. I'm an ultimate raider, and I think Shiva Unreal's enrage is harder than ultimate. Literally, it's insane. But yeah, okay, so let's get into the difficulty then, right? So mechanically, this is a 5-year-old boss. I don't know how long ago it is. We'll call it 5 years, right? Maybe I'm wrong there. You can correct me in the comments. But it's an easy boss. Like, the mechanics are not the trouble here. It was designed for a different game. 2.0 to 5.0 is such a big difference, and you can really feel it in this fight. I mean, the way the boss moved, like, these days, if you move your character, the boss will follow you. The way Shiva works is if you move your character, she'll sit there for a bit, wait for the next auto attack Q timer, and then once her next auto attack is queued, she'll follow you, attack you, and then stop. And then if you move again, wait for the auto attack Q timer. Okay, auto attack Q is up. Gotta get to the person. Moves. So it's like so frustrating to try and move this boss because you need to like time the auto attack update timer in the game so that you can move her immediately because she won't move unless she's ready to auto attack. It's like such a dated. Oh, it feels weird. So it's a boss that's designed for a different game, and it is kind of cool. It is kind of cool as someone who never did Shiva back in the day because I started at Heaven's Ward. It's kind of cool to see, like, to do a boss fight that's from an old time. But I could have done that with item level syncing it. I can sync Shiva Extreme. I can go back and sync it at level 50 and experience what it was like to kill Shiva. So yeah, the difficulty, I don't know, it felt like so unfair in a way because it's like we've progressed, the game's gotten better, the server ticks have gotten better, the mechanic telegraphing has gotten better. We had to make macros for Bo because people weren't looking above her head. I mean, it was just weird. It was such a weird thing to go through. Maybe this is because I haven't done it back in the day. I didn't play ARR, but yeah, it felt really weird. On top of the enrage grind, I talked about it a second ago, but like the mechanics were not the hard part. It was like everything surrounding the boss. Like, mechanically, Shiva is a very simple boss. You can literally learn the entire fight in 2 pulls, maybe 1 if you're fresh. You could just kind of like walk your way through it and go, oh, okay, here's this thing, here's that thing, okay, we'll get it next time. But the enrage timer was insane. The way the boss moved was insane. You would turn her around, but then she'd only turn like a quarter of the way and then do her mechanic, and then you'd have to like anticipate her not moving the full direction. It was just really, really frustrating to prog this boss, and I got pretty tilted at the end. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was ready to log out once this boss was downed. I did not enjoy it. I think there's too many things in the fight that they should update it to current day. I don't think anyone would be against updating the pathing and like how the boss moves. I don't think anyone would be against making her turn the full way when she's doing her mechanics. I don't think anyone would be against these like just small quality of life, like, hey, the game has progressed in these 5 years. can we get this newer design of like the boss will follow you if you move your character? I don't think that'd be a big problem. I think one of the biggest issues is just how it's just a one-to-one like scale up, and that comes with a lot of these issues. The last thing I'll talk about on Shiva Unreal, because I'm kind of been harping on this a bit, is the faux hollow system, the like scratch off ticket kind of thing. I really don't like this design of reward. I would much rather have a coffer that just like has a chance to drop the mount like any other trial. I did faux hollows today. You know, it's a once a week thing. I think you can do it twice if you re-roll. People were telling me, but I didn't see an option to re-roll. Yeah, I think you kill Shiva once a week, you get a chance at faux hollows, and then every scratch off ticket has like boxes that you can tick off, and in those boxes you want to like unbox a picture on the right side. And I mean, the rewards are just, they're so low. I mean, I did a full entire unscratch thing. I got 10 little tokens, and it costs 600 to get the mount. So I don't know if my luck was bad. Maybe I just got really unlucky on my faux hollows, but I do not like this reward system. On top of the fact that Shiva Unreal is going to go away, and I feel like I'm forced to grind her every single week, even if I don't like the boss. The faux hollow system, I think it's too unrewarding. I mean, in reality, it should take like what, five kills of Shiva to get the mount. I think that's fair, especially since on a weekly lockout, like 5 weeks to get a mount. I think that's fine. But it seems like it's going to take way longer, at least for me. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that, but faux hollow's first impression, wasn't a big fan. I'd much rather just have a coffer that drops things. And I think the glamour item in there, the little necklace, was really cool. I did like the necklace that was in faux hollows, and I think I want to grind that out for sure. But yeah, the prices and the amount you get is just so skewed to you have to do it every week or you're not going to unlock what you want. And I don't like that fear of missing out, like I said at the beginning of this little rant for Shiva. But yeah, that's about everything. That's everything I did today. I think I covered most of the content. I missed the Sapphire weapon instance, but I heard it was just a small story instance where you fight Sapphire weapon, whatever that is. I don't even know. But yeah, I think the patch as a whole, I rate it like a 6 out of 10. 6 to 7 out of 10. The 24-man was really good. The primal was really good. The trial was really good. The extreme trial, but the dungeon was kind of it's just another dungeon. And Shiva Unreal, I really did not like. I was not a big fan. So yeah, 6 to 7 out of 10. That's definitely better than normal. I think, you know, this is a good patch. I thought it was fun. I'm excited to do the Nier 24-man again. I'm excited to do the extreme and farm him. But there were a few issues of the patch I wasn't a big fan of. So that's my whole thoughts, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this stuff. Like I said, we'll be coming out with a video tomorrow talking about the class changes for Warrior and all my thoughts on it, because I have a lot to say about the Warrior changes and just how I think people are too focused on DPS and potencies. But that's all I have to say, boys and girls. Yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on the next one. That's all I've got for you today, friends. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with my content, and check out my Patreon if you want to support me further. Follow me on Twitch for live streams, Twitter for tweets, and join my Discord to engage with me directly. All links are down in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Peace!